Hi class, it's already week 13, so we're looking at reporting and forms. We'll set some up using Access. Let's go to that week in our modules. So in our modules for week 13, should see the PowerPoint that we'll be going through, so you can bring that up if you like. I'll have it going down here in the corner, and then you have a training and a SAM project. So to go along with the PowerPoint, I have this Access database open, and it is the accounts database that we worked on in our last video for section 3. So this will be module 4 or section 4 of our Access unit. Now, if you don't have this database, I will post it to Canvas for you so that you can download it. Remember, if it's a zip file, be sure to unzip it before you try to open it in Access. Now we want to, in this module, create some reports and forms using the wizards, learn how to modify those, and we've looked at that a little bit, so we'll just get a little bit more in depth. We want to take our reports and group and sort data and add some totals and subtotals and some conditional formatting. We'll see how to resize columns and filter the records that we're seeing on our reports and forms. We'll see how to print them, apply themes, and add a field if we're missing something to a report or a form. We'll see how to add a date, change the format of a control and move them, and create and print mailing labels using quite a bit of different formatting. So here we have a report, and we'll create something like this. We have a report that has a group by field. So we see this group header. So in this report, all of our customers that have an account type of IND are going to be grouped under this group header. Each of those customer lines then will be considered detail lines, and they'll be part of our detail section here. Whenever we have a group header like this, we can add whatever information we like. Besides our group header, we also have the page header, which is printed every page. We have a title, which could just be printed the first page depending on how things are set up, and that is our report header section, once at the beginning of the report. Down at the bottom, we have our footer section, and this is where we would normally put our page number. The report footer itself includes our subtotals and totals for all of our different categories. So we'll see all of these kinds of pieces of information when we create our report. Now we're also going to look at creating a form like this, where we have just a nice vanilla form to enter information in for our accounts. Now, our roadmap as we go through this today is, first of all, we're going to create our report and then group and sort and total in it, look at how to conditionally format some things there, and filter what we're seeing on our report. Then we'll create a multiple table report and a form using the form wizard, and we'll modify our form so that we can see how to make updates, and we'll apply filters to our form, and finally we'll look at generating mailing labels from our table. So first of all, we know to create a report, we're going to use our Create ribbon, and I'm going to go to Create, and I'm going to say I want to create a report using the Report Wizard. In the wizard, I want the accounts table. I want the account number field, so I'm going to select each of these, the account name. I want the account type and the amount paid, the current due, and the total amount, and then I'll add the account manager number. I'm going to go ahead and remove this account type because I want to show you how to do that manually. So we'll just leave that out for now. When I click Next, it's going to ask if we want any grouping on our account manager number because the database knows we have a relationship with that account manager. But we'll say no, we don't really want that right now. I just want one line of detail for each of our different customers. As we next through, I'll say sure, I'd like to sort by account number. And I think a tabular layout is fine. And it's got this checkbox checked to adjust the field width so all fields fit on a page. Well, let's set our page to landscape, and then we'll have a little bit more room for our numbers. Let's go ahead and click Next. And I'll leave this report named Accounts. And I think that, yeah, I want to preview and see how it's going to look. And here's my accounts report. I have just a little bit of information, our number, name, the amount they've paid, their due, and their total. Now our account manager could probably be a little bit smaller because we do not really need that much space. It made this column really wide for our heading. Our account number, it's a little bit wide. So let's see if we can rearrange things a little bit because we might need a little bit more for our total fields in our numbers. So I'm going to close this print preview, and that'll leave me in design mode on our report. I want to first select this account number heading, and I'm going to actually change this text. So I'll make it say AC number, kind of like our table was named. Now that I do that, I can click on the account number heading to select it, and then hold the Control key to select the actual account number that's associated with that heading. And then I can resize both of these together. So I'll say that I want to make that just a bit smaller than it was. Now, since I've made the account number a little smaller, I'll select my account name heading and account name field, and I want to move those over to take up that space that we released. Now, in our amount paid field, I'm going to Control click to get them both. I'm going to move this over a bit, but then I'm also going to stretch it out and make it a little bit bigger of a field for that total. I'll move to the current due, press Control click, slide it over a bit, and then make it a little bigger so that we can fit more information in there. Now our account manager number is kind of blocking us now, so I'll click in that heading, and again I want to click again to select the text, and I'll make this say AM number for account manager and enter. I'm going to select the associated data field, and I'm going to drag both of these over towards the edge because they didn't need near that much space, and that's going to give us a little bit more room for our total amount. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. Now I could move this over a little bit, kind of format everything to get everything looking nice. Move this one over a bit since we've got a little bit more space freed up. Try to get an equal distance in between those totals, and that gives me some room in case I need to make them any bigger. So that was a good change for our accounts report. Let's view it and make sure that everything fits properly. So I'm going to change our view to report view, and it looks okay. My account numbers are all fitting. All our numbers look okay. And our number columns would show just a whole bunch of pound signs or hashtags if the number couldn't fit. So it won't show us inaccurate data. It will show the pound signs to show that there was a formatting problem. So I'm going to change my view then back to design mode. And I want to add in the subtotals. So according to the presentation, we want to right-click the Group and Sort button to display the Group, Sort, and Total pane. Well, let's see. Here's my Group and Sort button. So I'm going to right-click on that and see my pane doesn't seem to be helping me. There it is. So I think we just need to click on it. Maybe a little bit of a change since the PowerPoint came out. Now I want to add a grouping. So I'm going to click Add a Group. And I want this grouping to be on account type. So you can see I could make that grouping be on something that wasn't part of my selection fields in the report wizard. Now when I add that group on account type, there are some different ways that I can add that group header. Because remember now we have our report header. If I wanted to make it a little smaller, I could move my mouse pointer to this location where it is the split arrowhead, click and hold, and then I could drag this up, and that would make my report header a little bit smaller of space on my first page. Now, I have the account type header right here that's been allocated for us. So what we want to put there is our account type so that it will display. Now I see that in our account type header, whoops, we want to have a little bit of room for that. So I probably should have left all of our fields a little bit closer together. So hindsight's always 20/20. Let's select these, do our total amount first. I'm going to move it over towards that account manager number and my current due, and I'm going to put these items on my detail line a little closer together so that I can put that account type field above and have it not be interrupted by this other data. So it looked great when we didn't have that account type header, but once we have the account type header added, we see we need that space to display the account type. So here in this account type header, I want to add a text box, and all of my controls are up here that I can add to my report. We have lots of them, don't we? We didn't use hardly any. But I'm going to click on, let's see, we want to find a text box. Oh, there's a text box. So I'm going to draw that text box right here in my account type header area. Now it says it's unbound, and I want to make it bound. So I'm going to click on Data over here on my property sheet. Now if your property sheet isn't showing up, there are several ways to make it show up. The easiest is to click this property sheet button up here in your toolbar on the design ribbon. But I'm going to click Data, and I want this control source to be my table, and it's going to be our account type field. So I'm going to choose account type there. Now on this section header, account type header, we have lots of other options like our formatting. Right now we're just going to display that as text. We could change all sorts of things for this group header. But for now, I just want to leave that text box linked to our account type field in our table. And let's change our view. And let's look at how our report looks now. I have a weird kind of heading there, huh? So let's go back to Design View. And there it is. It says text, right kind of back there behind account type. That's our heading. So I'm going to select that and press the Delete key to remove it. So now I just have my account type there. So I need to add a different sort and a different group by. So what I want to do is move this sort down under this group, because I was having it do an account type for every different account number. That's not what I want. I want to do an account type and then all of the account numbers of that account type underneath that. So let's see if that rearranging of our grouping and our sorting changed things up to look a little bit more like we want. In our report view, sure enough, now we see for all of our IND account types, we only have one. They're listed. And then our NON accounts and our SERs. And by the way, I just changed some different accounts to be some of these different account types so that we could do this in our report. So in your table, you might need to change some of those too. So that looks good. Now we have a grouping going on in our report based on our account type. So we just need to add that subtotal. So let's go back to Design View. And I want to add some totals. So right now it's not letting me click on that. If I do anything here, will it let me? It says I have more options. So right now it says with no totals. Well, I would like some totals. So what do I want? Let's see what other options we have. With the header section, without a footer section. Let's try with a footer section. Now we have our account type footer where we can put our totals. So I think I'm going to click on this account paid or amount paid field. And sure enough, when I do that, now I have this totals button available to me. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to choose sum because we want a sum of all of these amounts for each of our different account types. And if you notice, Access added that to our account type footer and to our report footer so we'd have a final total. Well, I want to do the same thing with our current due. So I'll click totals, sum, and our total amount. Now our report should have that information included. Let's take a look. So in our report view, we see now that we have a subtotal for each of our different account types. And then we have a final total at the very end of our report. Now our subtotal and our final total for our total amount is not formatted correctly. We're missing the $sign in the second decimal place. So let's check and see how we can change that formatting. Let me keep the PowerPoint up with us here. Okay, so we've done our totals and subtotals. Good job. And we could remove that pane if we wanted to, by the way. So we want to try some formatting. So I'm going to go back to design mode. And what I want to do is click in this text box that is the sum of our total amount. And on our property sheet, which again I can display by clicking the property sheet button, I want the format tab. And I want to change the format of this text box to currency. And I want to do the same thing with the final total. Now I could have used the control key and selected both of them at the same time to change that format also. I didn't have to do it individually. So let's look at our report view now. And we have all of our nice currency formatting and our different subtotals. And of course we could add words here if we wanted to on our report, subtotal, final total, whatever our users needed. Now we can do some other things here too. So we can conditionally format some items on our report. Let's go back to design mode first. In our design view, if we click on our current due column, we want to conditionally format that so that if somebody owes us money, it shows up red. So I'm going to right click and go to the conditional formatting option. I need to create a rule to establish that red color. So I'm going to say new rule. And if the field value is not equal to 0, we want our text, our font color, to be red. So I can see the preview now showing me that that looks right. It's going to change it to red. So let's click OK and OK. Now we won't see that change until we view our report again. And now we see we have a red color for all of our customers that owe us money. We could change that subtotal and final total if we wanted to, but notice how that formatting is conditional. It's based on the data that's in the field. So we could have multiple conditions and make things many different colors if we wanted to. So really, really cool. So that's conditional formatting. Now we can also filter the records in a report. So we could right-click on what we want to filter on. So let's say we just want to see the customers that owe us 0. Let's right-click and say that we want to see everybody that equals 0, 0, 0. And we just applied that filter just that easily. So we see our customers that have a 0 balance. Now if we want to remove that filter and see all of our rows again, we just click toggle filter and that turns it back off. So we can do that pretty easily. If we thought that maybe we had some sort of problem in our database, we could actually try filtering on many different things. So if we just want to see, let's say we want to see the number filter greater than 3,000, because we want to see all those people, then we can identify those accounts that owe us more than $3,000. So it makes it really easy for us to sort and filter our data. And then we can just have this report and save it and do whatever we want to. Now our report here, the accounts report, is going to be saved automatically. So I'm going to close out of it because we're done working on it for right now. I want to save it and I want to close it. And remember our account managers table. I'll show it to you. Our account managers table has our 3 account managers information in it. And every one of our accounts has been associated with one of the account managers. We could open up that subquery to see those accounts that belong to that account manager. And we created a relationship in our last unit between our account manager table and our accounts table, saying that for referential integrity to exist, every account has to have an account manager. So we've got that rule already set up. So these are 2 tables that are associated with each other. So the report wizard will help us create a report that involves multiple tables if the tables are associated in that way, or if we created a query to associate them. So I'm going to click the Create tab and use the report wizard. And this time we want to pick our account managers. And let's just say we're going to add everything. And then we can click our accounts table. And again, we could add everything. Let's see what we get. Now in this case, we do want to summarize by account manager. Now by accounts, we don't really, so I don't know about that. Let's try it by account manager, because our account manager is our controlling item. And then we want our account manager to be our grouping, so that looks good. We'll try it. Let's next. Let's sort by account number, and we'll finish. Now, looking at our report, it looks like we're missing quite a bit. So I'm going to close Print Preview, change our view to Design View. Well, we're there, huh? And what I would probably want to do is something like maybe deleting these headings. So I'll Control-click all of the Account Manager headings, delete, and then I'm going to select all of our detail items, and we could do a lot more formatting than this, but this will get us going. And I guess I want them to have a little bit of room. Now let's go back to Report View. And so we see that Account Manager 31, Joe Smith from Avondale, has these particular accounts, and then over here I see there's a lot more stuff, so we could format all of that. Now whenever we're looking at this report, if we want to find something, we can click this magnifying glass item to find anything that we're looking for in our report. We can match case, look for something in an entire field or just part of it or just the start of it, and we can search as much or as little as we want. Okay, now as we look at this report, I'm going to cancel out of this. We can actually do some things like hiding our details. Right now, if you notice, we have some summary information, a little bit anyways. So I'm going to try that. I have to click on something over here. Oh, I guess they're in Design View. So I'll go back there, and in Design View then I should be able to click Hide Details. And now let's run it. And you should just see the account managers and any sort of summary information that we have generated for them, just like in our previous report. So generating a report with two tables is really a lot like generating a report with one table, but it helps a lot if the tables already have a relationship. If not, we could create a query that joins them to kind of create that relationship temporarily. So that helps us a lot with those reports. Now I'm going to save and close this one. And I want to go back to our accounts table because we'd like to create a form, and we want this form to be a form that works with our accounts. So I'm going to click Create and use the Form Wizard. And it's got my table already set. I'm going to select all the fields. I'll click Next. Now, whenever we look at these different types of layouts, it can be kind of hard to tell what they mean. But columnar means we would have a heading column and then a data column. Tabular, if you look at it, means our headings would be across the top, so we could list all of our accounts on this form that way. With the data sheet, we're seeing headings across and headings down, so this is going to be something that's going to work better with a multiple table form. And Justified is going to give us headings with each of our data fields scattered across the form in the best way to make everything fit. So our example uses columnar, so we'll click Next. Accounts is fine. I'll click Finish, and it should open our form. Now here's our new accounts form. They called it Account Financial Form, so I better go back to Design View and fix that. Account. I'm going to click in it and click in it again to get into data entry mode. account financial form, and it needs to be a little bit bigger so that it all fits on one line. And I'll make this a little smaller. Now, notice that I can't make it smaller, so I actually have to extend it just a little bit so I can grab this bottom and stretch it up, and then I can drag up the rest of my form. Now, this header area you might want to be a little bigger because you might want to use this area to include an image like your company logo or something along those lines to be helpful. Make it look more professional. Now I'm going to go back to Form View, and we should see that our form is working. That's all we had to do for all of our data entry. We can click Next through all of our different records or rows in our table. We could click the New Blank Record to go to a blank instance of our form to type data to add a new row. We could select by clicking over here and then using the delete key to delete this row from our table. Now, when we're looking at our table, our form, let's go back to Design View. We can actually change the layout if we want to. So when we're looking at our form design tools up here, so far we've just used the Design tab. It has our View button, some themes if we wanted to apply a theme, a place for us to add a logo, add some fields that we hadn't already added to our form, change the tab order so things go properly when the user presses the tab key, or we could even add some code. Now looking at our Arrange toolbar, this one actually lets us change the way our form is laid out, so we could make it stacked. Does that do anything? Let's select it all. I'm going to click down here, press Control A. Now try stacked. Oh, there we go. Now I want to click somewhere so I can see what that looks like. Let's go back to Design and view it in our Form View. Not much different than what we had before, huh? Go back to Design View. And if I select everything again, we could try tabular. That doesn't look very good for our form, does it? It just went all the way across. So I'll remove that layout. Go back to stacked. Just made a big giant mess, huh? Try to do some undos whenever we have things like that happen. All right, so Control Z is our friend, right? Well, that form looks great. Let's see what else we need to do with it. Oh, we could add the date. So let's see. That's not too bad. In our design mode, we can add the date and time. So let's click on date and time. And we could add our date in whatever format that we want. Let's not include our time though. That's kind of redundant. And we could make it be this Canadian sort of format. Let's try it. It's okay. Now I put that up here in our heading. Let's go look at our form now. And now we see our date. So we could of course move that around to wherever we wanted it to appear on our form. And that'll always be our current date. Now, whenever we're looking at our form, we could change things pretty easy using the same controls on our home ribbon that we would use like in Word. So let me try account number. Under my fonts control, I could change the actual font. But I can also go to the Format tab and see that kind of home screen. So let's say I want this account number to be bold, and I want it to display in purple. Now, let's check out our form in Form View, and we can see it's in bold and it's purple. So we can change whatever we wanted of our controls. We can change those fonts. So let's go back to Design View, and remember that was on the Format ribbon under your Form Design Tools. So you could also add a background image, do some conditional formatting just like in your reports, whatever you would like to do. Now, we saw how to move a control when we were looking at our reports. It is just the same. So I can try to move this heading. Come on, you silly thing. Sometimes you have to keep moving your mouse around to get the appropriate four corners. Now that gave me a select all option, didn't it? I really just want that one. So finally I can grab him, move him up here, and resize him. So sometimes, just like with the other Office products, it can be hard to get that 4 arrowhead pointer to come up, but you just got to keep moving things around and keep trying till you get it, and then you can drag your controls to wherever you want them. Now, as in our report, we want to keep our headings or our prompts together with our data fields, so you can select those together. And you'll see this nice red line indicator when you're moving a field so that it's showing you where it's going. Of course, you're going to hold your mouse pointer and drag and then release your pointer when it gets to the desired spot. Now we could add a field. In our case, we've already added all of our fields, but we saw that on our design ribbon that we had add existing fields. So I could add anything to this form. We already have them already on there, but that would make it easy for us to add. So we can add the state. Notice it put it on the form again, and it included a new heading for me. And I could move that heading over here with it and just have it display again. So we can add additional fields if we've left something out, or we had it all perfect and somebody's changed their mind about what they want. Now when we're looking at our form, just like a report, we can do a filter and a sort. So let's go to Form View, and I could click on Avondale and filter based on that. Now I could, right now we're seeing all of the rows that are from all cities, but I could uncheck Select All, which would uncheck them all, and I could say I only want to see customers who are from Avondale. Now I see that my search has resulted only in one record. Oh, two. So let's see who else. Riley Manufacturing. So we have two customers or two accounts that are in that city. Now I can remove the filter just by clicking. And again, if I want to apply that on some other field, like say I want to bring up all of our SER account types, I can filter, uncheck them all, check SER, and it'll take it a second obviously to load. I have 11. So my set of rows has been filtered to those that I selected. So I can remove that filter. Now I could also sort. So we can choose a field if we want to, like say our account name, and we can sort using that field. Or we could go descending, and then we would see our highest sort first, step through our rows that way. If I want to do a more advanced sort, I can click on Advanced and do advanced filter sort, and then it looks just like the query screen where I can say, oh, account name is descending. I only want account type equal SER. I could say I want only the city that is Avondale. Did it apply? No, I'm unfiltered, so I'd have to apply it. Now I'm looking at only 11. I don't think I saved my Avondale. So close that, and I'll let you play with your advanced filter sort. Because we want to look at creating labels, and we're getting too long. So I'm going to go back to my accounts table, and I'm going to say I want to create some labels, mailing labels for these accounts. And it's really helpful because they have a great tool for us. I've lost our tool. Let's see, click the labels button. Where's my labels button? Create labels. There it is. So you can always lose things, but you can always find them. So on our create ribbon, we have this labels button, and it's going to come up and ask us what label type we're using. So of course we would see this product number on our packaging for the label that we bought. We could choose whichever one we wanted. These are mostly Avery, and usually if it's not an Avery label, it'll have the Avery label product number on it because they're kind of a standard. We want to leave our units of measure as English, and we'll say that we have different sheets because it's pretty hard to find a continuous form printer anymore. You might be able to, but I hope not. Now, if our label was something that was unusual, we could click customize, and then we could create a really unusual label if we needed to. But ours is fine. I'll pick this C2243 and click next. Now I can change my font weight, all these other settings for my label. And over here on the side I see my prototype label. So I want my account name first. Then I'm going to press enter because I want their street address to be on the next line. I'm going to press enter again and add city. Then I'm going to press the space bar and add state, space bar again, and add the postal code. So if it gets messed up, you kind of just have to select them all and delete them, and then you can add them again really easily. But this way, our name will be on the first line, our street will be on the second, city, state, and zip on the third. Now I could really add a comma between those. So it let me do that without too much trouble. Now I'll click next, and it says, what would you like to sort by? Well, usually if I'm printing mailing labels, I probably want to sort by the postal code, but let's make ours by city because we know we have some in the same city, and we usually want to do that because we're probably going to be sending out a mass mailing, and so we'd like to have them bundled by city because that's going to be how we pay for our postage. So I'm going to click next, and that's a perfect name, and yeah, I want to see them as they'll look when they're printed. And when I look at it, looks great. I see my companies, each of them on their own label. We can see that some of our company names are a little long for these format of labels. We'd probably want to get a 3 across label so we could fit a little bit longer of a company name, but this works great. Now this is actually a report, like the report we created earlier, so I could close print preview and we could see our report layout. But notice we have nothing in our report but detail lines. We could go and look at our report view instead of print preview, and then we would see how it would look irregardless of the label. We go to print preview, we'll see what it looks with the actual labels we've chosen. So we want to print these. That's pretty easy. We'd click print. In most of the things that we've looked at today, the print was available. If it wasn't available, you could go to a print preview and find print. So I'm going to close print preview. And if we look at our accounts form, that's one place that we don't see that option. So we'd have to actually choose File, Print, and then you're going to be able to do a quick print or a print where you choose options. I'll show you a print preview of what that would look like. So that would show us our form. And since our form is kind of taking up things, it's showing us different customers, so just the ones that it can fit on that page. We can look at all of our different pages. So notice printing our form wouldn't look nearly as nice as printing out a report that we have formatted to fit a piece of paper. Well, that's it for our Module 4. Should be some really good tools for you to become super productive using Access, to be able to create the kind of database application that companies use for years, which is a little scary, I know, but that's what you'll be creating. So thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.